reaching you on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Debo, and I'm the only one in the studio this morning. However, we have a virtual guest that will be loving to join with us. He is an in-house analyst for Wadima. Before I bring forward, let's look at the headline stories on today's papers. And of course, it's election season, so the papers are still awash with stories on election results. And of course, we're starting off with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. Leadership is dealing with the story drama as INEC declares Binani's historic match inconclusive. Drama as INEC declares Binani's historic match inconclusive. Says PVC collected more than vote margin between APC candidate Governor Fintri. Says PVC collected more than vote margin between APC candidate Governor Fintri. Election to hold in 47 wards across 21 Adamawa local government areas. Results suspended in Abia, Enugu. The story is on page 4 of Leadership newspaper. And of course, above the masthead, we have APC consolidates, wins Benue, Borno, Cross River, Kaduna, Nasarawa, Sokoto, Ebonyi. PDP retains Bauchi, Delta, Rivers, retakes Plateau. And on still on Leadership newspaper, we have pictures of the new keys on the block as leadership would state. Three new legislators in their 20s share plans for states. The Ogun State on says my legislative agenda is centered on youth empowerment, ICT, micro, small and medium enterprises. I will also champion legislation that will make traditional rulers part of the local security arrangement. And of course, from she to Kwara, age 26, she says, I will strive to give my constituents adequate representation through participatory engagement. I shall carry out effective legislative advancement of bills and motions to address issues of importance to the society. And from Nasarawa, we have from Oyanki, 25 years of age. The need to be responsible for others and be there for them gives me immense satisfaction. You need to first of all believe in the country itself and that effecting a positive change where everything works is possible. On leadership too, we have other stories as well apart from the election results. 78 million children at high risk of water-related crisis in Nigeria. The story is on page 13, leadership. Despite weaker naira, Nigeria's foreign trade surplus rises by 162%. Cash crunch killing businesses and Fenifere laments. The story is on page 6 of Leadership newspapers. For more on these stories, you can also log on to their website www.leadership.ng. When we are not done yet, we move over to the page 3 of Leadership newspaper, and that is our stand, the editorial stance of the paper as we begin post-election phase. As we begin post-election phase, that is the editorial stance of Leadership newspaper. And of course, we move over to the column, the back page of Leadership. We have the Tuesday column with Ray Murphy, a democracy endangered by INEC's underperformance. A democracy endangered by INEC's underperformance. For more on the stories, you can also log on to read more on this opinion. Tuesday column with Ray Murphy. You can also log on to Leadership's website. And of course, we always have the cartoon, the daily cartoon, Ghana Must Go. Ghana Must Go has Governor Deleke congratulates Makinde on re-election. And it says, did he dance for him? Everybody's like, Obasanjo and Deleke's dance steps as usual, always. So, this is it on Leadership newspaper. From Leadership, we move over to The Punch. The Punch says, APC wins 15 states, PDP 6, and NPP takes Kano. APC wins 15 states, PDP 6, and NPP takes Kano. 27 killed nationwide in election violence, Togri. Ganduje, Tambuwa candidates lose. 27 killed nationwide in election violence, Togri. Ganduje, Tambuwa candidates lose. PDP rejects Ogun Katsina results. Kwakwasiya supporters defy curfew, jubilate in Kano. INEC suspends Abia Enugu collation, declares Adamawa governorship poll inconclusive. That's the leading story on the Punch, and of course, the Punch also has a map of Nigeria where it highlights states and their victories. Above the masthead of the Punch, we have EFCC greets for NCAA chiefs over alleged 2 billion naira fraud. Anger as NNPCL, that is a Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, hires expatriates to head subsidiary. EU observers blame politicians INEC for vote buying. Soldiers shoot two Taraba policemen dead, injured others. Government kidnapped from Zamfara electoral officers with poor results. Musician friend kill BBC operators, died arrested. For more on the stories on the Punch newspaper, you can also log on to their website. From the Punch, we move over to the next paper we have on our menu, and that is the Guardian. The Guardian says protests as INEC suspends election results in Adamawa, Abia, Enugu. 2023 election lacked transparency, damaged public confidence in INEC, says EU. Sani, Sule, Oborebori, Bufubara, Yusuf, others declared winners. I'll take Guardian's leading story once again. Protests as INEC suspends election results in Adamawa, Abia, Enugu. 2023 election lacked transparency, damaged public confidence in INEC, says EU. Sani, Sule, Oborebori, Bufubara, Yusuf, others declared winners. That is on the Guardian. Now, let's talk about these election results. I know that Paul is already logged in and waiting. Hello, Paul. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
So welcome to today's
Thank
Inside
you.
Nigeria. Now, we just read some newspaper headline stories, and of course, all of them are leading with the ongoing election results as being announced by INEC. So, what do you have to say about this election of that EU describes as transparency, lacked transparency, and that it damaged public confidence in INEC, according to European Union? What do you have to say about it?
Well, one thing about the election results as they were coming out is that it has proven that APC has showed its dominance in the political space in the governorship election. But the question remains, did APC achieve this dominance because Nigerian people love APC? Because this dominance of the APC, on what basis? Is it that APC has run this country well in the past 8 years that it has been in charge? Let us look at the figures of where the country is right now, so that you now situate it with the election results that have been displayed, showing the APC dominance in the political space. Right now, Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. Right now, Nigeria has 133 million people under poverty. That is what they call multidimensional poverty. We have an extra 95 million that are under extreme poverty. Now you have inflation rates of over 21%. You have cash crunch. You have scarcity of fuel. You have a situation where the health sector has collapsed. The education sector has collapsed. The university system just came out of 8 months of strike. The country's economic situation is worse today than it was 8 years ago when APC took over. The minimum wage of Nigerians has been overtaken by inflation. The bag of rice is now more expensive than the minimum wage. Insecurity has spread even to other places where we never had insecurity. Before APC took over, insecurity in Nigeria was merely restricted to the northeast. Under APC, insecurity has expanded to southeast, north central, northwest, southwest, indeed all over the country. Nigerians can no longer travel on the roads. The roads are in dilapidated state. Now, when you look at all the economic indices, unemployment rate is over 33%. Underemployment is over 27%. Now you look at all these things, real statistics coming from the federal government itself, because this data I'm giving you are from the MBC,
Yes.
which is an institution of government. Based on all these things, the killing of Nigerians, the kidnapping of Nigerians, the cash crunch, on all this scale of inefficiency and inadequacy of the APC administration, they are returning fantastic figures to show that Nigerians love them. I do not believe these figures that they are sending, especially with the way INEC has conducted the election. This election cannot be described as transparent in any shape or form. In any shape or form. So under the atmosphere of poverty, insecurity, hopelessness that Nigerians are living under the APC, it beats my imagination that Nigerians voted for the same people who didn't do anything for them. Look at Benue State. APC returning fantastic figures there. We know that before APC came to power, Benue State was more secure than it is today. Today, Benue State has over 2 million IPPs, internally displaced persons. Many farmers cannot go to farm in Benue State. Many farmers are terrorized. There are several local governments in Benue State that are no-go areas for the indigenous communities. They have literally abandoned that place for killer herdsmen. Federal government did not lift a finger to help Benue State. Yet, the same Benue people voted for APC. So there are some things that could not be it's not understandable. And then look at Castina. Castina, about 12 local governments are occupied by the bandits. They control them. Yet, APC still get a lot of vote, even though they lost Castina. But did they lose Castina in the governorship? They returned fantastic figures and returned Castina. On what basis are the people of Castina going to vote for APC governor again, when the outgoing governor himself raised up his hand in surrender and said that what they needed is for people to bear arms to defend themselves, that the security agents who he is supposed to liaise with as the chief security officer of Katsina State cannot be able to help the people. Yet, people of Katsina has returned APC to power as governor.
Yes, thank you
so you can
much
see that what we are having, the result we are having is questionable, especially with the conduct of INEC. It is not ready to conduct free and fair election in Nigeria.
Yes, I want you to speak to this leading story, another leading story on regarding the elections. The European Union laments widespread violence during Guba houses of assembly polls, reveals 21 killed in Saturday's elections, urges immediate action to prevent relapse of Nigeria's democracy. And of course, it's also the same story we have in other papers as well, like the Punch newspaper, which says EU observers blame politicians INEC for vote buying, while Daily Sun says EU thumbs down for Guba State Assembly polls, says Nigerians boycotted elections over disappointment with presidential poll, whose death figure at 21. And of course, also in the same Guardian newspaper, it says that 2023 election lacked transparency, damaged public confidence in INEC, according to EU, that is European Union. So I want you to speak to that. Like, many people observed that there were so many violence and and intimidation which characterized last Saturday's
of course, what the European Union observers observed and said, there are the things that most Nigerians are already aware of, that the election was characterized by malpractices, by violence, and intimidation. And INEC itself was complicit in the whole thing, because the way INEC managed the election shows that INEC was not ready to be an unbiased umpire. So what the EU observe is true, but then what would the EU do? Beyond this rhetoric of observing that the election was not free and fair, or there were issues with it, what will the European Union do? What are they going to do about it? Are there going to be consequences for those who conducted this kind of election in Nigeria? Those who sabotaged the electoral decisions of Nigerians? Are there going to be consequences? That is the most important thing. What is the consequences for the actions taken by those who were in charge of running INEC, those who were deployed on the field, who failed to adhere to Electoral Act 2022, who failed to follow INEC guidelines, who deliberately sabotage the mandate of the people? Let me give you a typical example. In the presidential election, in the February 25 presidential and national assembly election, over 176,000 beavers, or bimodal voter accreditation system, were deployed all over the country. Now, after the election, let us not go into the mismanagement of the timing by INEC. INEC officials not reporting on time, INEC official coming to venues without the result sheets, INEC official coming to the voting unit without ink, and all manner of shenanigans. On election day, after Nigerians suffered to be in the sun under the weather to cast their votes, it came to the time for the transmission of the result from the polling unit to the IRIF or INEC server. There were difficulties. It was only the National Assembly results that they were able to upload, Senate and House of Reps. Why was the machine unable to transmit the result of the presidential election? That was when the problem that has bedeviled INEC today began to manifest. Why was the machine unable to transmit the presidential election results? They said there were glitches. We agree. But how come the glitches only affected the presidential election result that it could not be transmitted all over the country? If not that it was deliberate, what could have accounted for it? Because if it is a machine problem, if it was a machine problem, at least you would have heard that the beavers in parts of Sokoto was able to upload presidential results. That beavers in part of Calabar was able to upload presidential election results. Beavers, some part of Lagos, in Aja, it was able to transmit to the IRIF. Okay, but none was able to do it. You know why? I'm not a technology expert on that, but I can tell you for free. My common sense tells me that somebody refused to release the code for the presidential election to be transmitted. Yet, there is no consequences for somebody that did that. What is European Union going to do about that? What is the president himself, President Muhammad Buhari, who went to United Nations, his last outing in the United Nations? He said he wants to bequeath Nigeria free and fair election. At every opportunity that President Buhari had, he keep on emphasizing he wants to leave a legacy of free and fair election. And today, the same President Buhari is comfortable with these results that have been displayed. This is one of the things that used to surprise me about Nigeria. Because when I look at this, then I remember former British Prime Minister Cameron, who said that Nigeria is a fantastically corrupt country. Only in a fantastically corrupt country like Nigeria would this kind of thing be allowed to happen. And they stand. And the man who is the president, who promised that he will leave a legacy of free and fair election, feel everything is okay. The election is fine. He has not said anything to show that he didn't like what happened. That he can't claim he has not seen the reports of what happened in this election. How people were brutalized, where there was ethnic profiling on television. And security officials are saying that the man who did the ethnic profiling, who issued the threat, was only making a joke. Only in Nigeria would that kind of thing be considered a joke. But this was the reason why over 100,000 Tutsis were killed in 1994 by Hutus. This is how it starts. So when you look at all these things, you find out that using these results coming out today as an indication of how Nigerians really feel, that Nigerians love APC. APC returning them to power, voting for them fantastically. I do not believe these results. To be frank with you, I do not believe it. I do not believe it. They need to be
But
well
these
looked
are
into. In
exciting
my own
times
assessment,
in
I do
Nigeria.
not accept that APC will be loved by Nigerians to the level of returning them to power amidst scarcity of fuel, scarcity of naira, scarcity of everything you can think of in this world. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. Either APC and INEC we are in league to produce the result we are seeing today. If not, I don't see any other explanation for it.
Uh, Paul, these are indeed interesting times. Yes, we also have the Vanguard newspaper, which we are going to get to when we come back from this break. We've been talking politics since, and when we come back, we'll look at other stories as well we have on other papers talking about business. How we going to we are coming back with more stories.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Welcome back. This is Breakfast Show, your number one breakfast show online, and it's reaching you on Leadership Television. My name is Winnie for the program with me has been an in-house guest. Is of course joining virtual for one hour. The first half of the program we'll be talking politics. Now we're back again, let's talk business. And of course, it's also a developing story, this cash crunch in Nigeria presently. It doesn't seem to wind down, and of course some papers have it, they have it on their cover. Blueprint says Nigerians still groaning under scarcity of cash. Nigerians still groaning under scarcity of cash, and the nation says cash crisis, banking infrastructure for expansion. And still see the same story on the Daily Sun. Daily Sun says customers swoop on banks as cash shortage, e-channel glitches persist. And on Vanguard newspaper, Vanguard, let's have Vanguard on our screen. Vanguard newspaper says borrowing from customers borrowing from CBN down 14% to 453.7 billion naira. Because I couldn't see that very well. Paul, are you Paul? We still have it. Okay, welcome back, Paul. Now we're looking at this cash crisis still persisting in the country despite Supreme Court's ruling and even CBN governors supposedly intervention. Why are we still having the crisis? You pass some banks and the crowd there outside the banks is overwhelming. And why some banks like are still not working? They just have their ATMs locked up and their gates locked to customers. So what is really happening? What is happening here?
To be frank, I didn't get the question. The audio is
Okay,
I couldn't get the question you asked.
so we are talking about this cash crunch in the Nigeria
Yes.
present. It still persists despite Supreme Court's ruling and even CBN's seemingly intervention. What is happening here?
Okay. I got that. I think both the presidency and the central bank, I think they are just they don't want to really tell us where they stand. Let me give you a typical example. When the Supreme Court ruled earlier and declared that 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira old notes should remain legal tender in Nigeria. Initially, President Muhammadu Buhari did a broadcast. In that broadcast, he announced the restoration of 200 naira as a legal tender and refused to restore back 500 naira and 1,000 naira. Now, what stops him from doing a similar broadcast now that the Supreme Court has once again said that the 500 naira, the 1,000 naira is a legal tender until 31st December? What stops the president from making the same broadcast that he made before so that he can give confidence to the local trader in the villages in Kano, in Sokoto, in Zamfara, in Abekeleke, in Enugu, in Umuahia, in Calabar? What stops him from doing the same thing now? If not that they are not ready to see people have their cash as it is entitled, because already the Supreme Court ruled that the government has no right to restrict Nigerians' access to their money on no basis. That is a violation of the rights of Nigerians, but they are doing it with impunity. That was why I didn't accept those who are blaming Governor of Central Bank that he is the reason why 100 naira, 1,000 naira, 500 naira are not yet reintroduced in the system, the old notes. But you can see that the Governor of Central Bank has issued a statement and all that. But his statement was not even enough to convince the Mama Put joints all over the country to accept the old Naira notes, because many of them did not read the newspapers where the Governor of Central Bank issued a statement saying that people should accept the old 500 naira and 1,000 naira notes, and that the banks should disperse them, and that they should collect them if they return it back to the banks and all that. It didn't make any impact, because already they have set a precedent that Buhari is the one that will determine the currency that will be in circulation, which he displayed in the first ruling when he made a broadcast and deliberately take away 1,000 naira and 500 naira that the Supreme Court says should return into circulation, and made a broadcast that only 200 naira that should be circulated, which was a violation of the ruling of the Supreme Court. Now Supreme Court had ruled again. The same presidency are claiming now that it is not their fault, it's the fault of MFL, when they have already set a precedent that the President Muhammad Buhari must make a speech before people will have confidence in the money in circulation. As far as I can see it, President Muhammad Buhari should address Nigerians, because the president has capacity to address Nigeria. It cannot take him more than 5 minutes to address Nigerians and say, from today, start receiving 500 naira old notes, 1,000 naira old notes, in line with the judgment of the Supreme Court. It will not take him up to 5 minutes. He can do it. After all, when he was in summit in Ethiopia or so, and there was an issue, he made a video which went viral. He made a video about this currency issue. So if he can do that, he can take 5 minutes in the presidential villa to address Nigerians and tell Nigerians that the 500 naira old notes, 1,000 naira old notes are back in circulation, that every Nigerian should accept it, and it will be accepted. Look at, nobody's debating about 200 naira old notes right now. As far as the market women are concerned, that is the deal. Buhari approved of that one. Right now, they are not confident in collecting the old notes. And that is why we are having the problem we are having today. So the problem lies squarely at the presidency. They cannot extricate themselves from what Nigerians are suffering today. Because they set the precedent.
Yes, something has to give, because before this time around, the Kaduna State Governor, Malam Nasi Erufai, the Zamfara, the Kogi, they were contemplating contempt charges against Mefele and Malami. You know, should they stick? In your view, should they stick quiet? Because something has to give. And see that the situation has not abated. The banks are not opening, and even in some cases where they open, you see mammoth crowd there, and they are still not disbursing these old naira notes. So what should be done about it?
The only thing that can be done now is only the president that can solve the problem, as I said. Only President Muhammad Buhari can restore the confidence of Nigerians in the old notes, because he has already set a precedent on that. He is the only one who can do it. Even if Malami come out now and say that everybody should be collecting the old notes, it will not make a difference to the people in the lower ladder of economic activities in Nigeria. They will not accept it. The taxi drivers, they will not accept it. They will not believe Malami, because if Malami or Godwin Emefiele can have authority to do that, President Muhammad Buhari had no business addressing Nigerians the way he did in the first ruling of the Supreme Court, because what he did on that day was to remind Nigerians that the buck stops at his table. So since the buck stops at his table, he has to do the same thing he did before to restore confidence in the old 500 naira and 1,000 naira notes. There is no other way around it. There is no other. You can't even use police to be arresting people for rejecting the money. No. It is the president that created this situation. He is the one that will solve it. But that they have not solved it means that they really don't give a damn about what Nigerians are passing through. You need to go to some of these banks and see the crowd of Nigerians on a daily basis trying to get money just to buy few essentials. There are some banks that are paying only 2,000 naira, only 5,000 naira, depending the way the situation is for that day. I've gone to a bank where the bank official was announcing that anybody who came here for money should go home because there's no money. If those who should stay are those who have ATM issues, those who have customer service issues. If you come here for money, go home. No money. Only in Nigeria can you get this kind of treatment from banks. All because we change our currency or redesign our currency. These are things that are done seamlessly in other societies.
Oh, yes.
India has changed its currency before. India changed its currency, and the window of opportunity they gave Indians to change the money was barely 24 hours. And India was able to do it effectively. and the rupee rebounded. Yet, for weeks, months after the redesign of Nigerian currency, Nigerians have continued to suffer. Initially, we were told that it is to help curb vote buying by politicians.
Yes.
But did it achieve the purpose? Was the election still free and fair? Can we say because of the design of the Naira note that 2023 election was fantastic? Is it not even worse than previous elections? That is the truth. It is even worse than the previous elections, when we don't have to go through the pains of Naira redesign. So basically, this problem will continue to persist until the president addresses the nation. Or in the alternative, they pump a lot of money out there to the commercial banks to be able to dispense. Because we're also getting reports that the commercial banks themselves, they don't have both the old and the new notes. They don't have anyone in adequate numbers. Are you getting it? So if Buhari don't want to broadcast to Nigerians, let them print the new Naira notes and distribute it in all the commercial banks at the number that will be able to meet the needs of the average Nigerian. And then they have to improve the infrastructure of the banking sector. Because if you see how Nigerians have lost money in electronic transaction of business, transaction of money, many have been duped, many have lost a lot of money because the infrastructure is still very poor to handle the cashless policy that the government is driving. So that also needs to be taken care of if we are really serious to address this problem. Because if the infrastructure is working and somebody can easily, if you buy paper of 100 naira, within a few seconds you can transfer the money without any problem, then at least it's manageable. But we find out that it is even very difficult to do money transfer electronically because of poor infrastructure in the banking sector. That also needs to be looked at. So as issues that need to be solved if we are really serious about it. But in the short run, what the government needs to do is to make President Muhammad Buhari to address the nation and declare 500 naira old note and 1,000 naira old notes legal tender once again, because the Supreme Court has ruled that they are legal tender until 31st of December. But the Nigerians are waiting for the president to do what he did before by addressing the nation to tell them this is the position of the government based on the Supreme Court ruling. Until he does that, I think this problem will continue to linger until perhaps he leaves office on May 29, 2023.
Thank you so much, Paul Wadima. We sincerely hope the President of the Federation, President Muhammad Buhari, will rise up to the occasion and make a statement on that.
Thank you for having me.
Actually causing so much chaos and poverty. Thank you so much for your presence in our breakfast show, Inside Nigeria today. I look forward to seeing more of you on the program. Well, viewers, this is where we end today's program. My name is Wumi for the One Show. It's good to be host to you of today's program. Don't forget, same time, same station tomorrow. Peace and another day. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.